Hi there, my name's Alex. I'm here today to show you this really cool Mexican game called Piñatazo. It's designed by Karla Günz of Günz Games. I'm here today to show you how to play so you can get started and get having fun with it as soon as possible. So this is a game designed about the Mexican tradition of Piñata. And this is where big kids and small kids alike put on a blindfold, they're spun around and they're whacking at this cardboard animal, trying to get as much candy out of it as they can. Meanwhile, their friends are trying to grab that candy from the floor, steal it from them, and you're trying not to lose your own candy in the process. So this does a really good job of simulating that aggressive fun that a piñata can be. And of course, the only really safe place for your candy once you've got it is in your belly. And that's true in this game too. All right, let's get into it. This is a game for 2 to 6 players, and the playtime is about 40 minutes. And really, if you're left holding the best candy at the end, you're the winner. And each piñata can be filled with lots of different types of cards. And if you're playing a 6-player game, you'll use them all. But for 2 to 4 players, you're going to be using some of them. So let me go over here how you can get that deck set up and ready to go. As it's a Mexican game, it is all in Spanish, this version, but there will be future versions which are written and printed in English. Now I'm going to set up a 4-player game here, and so here's a quick guide of what you want to do. So the manual does have on page 3 a section on how to set up a deck for a game, but let me show you a quick way to set up a 4-player game. So we're going to take all the cards, just put them together. I've somewhat organized these already, but that's what helps, is you want to organize them to their types. But here what we're going to do. So the basic candy cards are these. They have this candy symbol. So all the blue ones with these candy symbols, put them together. And then for a 4-player game, all you need to do is remove 2 of these cards. Little peanut guys. Los cacahuates, that's what that is, peanuts. We're going to take 2 of those out of the deck. We're going to include just 1 of these love heart lollipops. Yeah. Paleta de Corazon, love heart lollipop. Put 1 of those in the deck. We're going to take all of these spicy candies. These are the ones that have this little flame symbol. All of those are going in the deck. We're going to take these set collection candies. So in the top corner, we see on all of these are these different colors. And so these look like the different fruits, flavors that they are. There's a couple of different types, and we also have these wild ones, which are called the comodines. So we're going to take all of these, except we're going to remove the lollipops. So there's a lollipop of each color, so we're going to remove them. There's the orange, the green, the purple, and the pink, the strawberry. I'm going to take those out of the deck. Next, we want to take these candies, the blue ones, but the ones with the puzzles. We're going to have both sets of them. One is the naranja, the orange, and one is the chili. So we want to put those together. And so there only exists sets of these. So all of those are going with these puzzle symbols. They're all going in the deck. Next, we're going to look at these negative candy cards. These are the cards you don't want with a minus points on them. You could just remove 2 of these. So some are worth more, some are worth less. So whatever you decide, just remove 2 of them and then keep the rest in the deck. Next, we're looking at these purple action cards. Okay, so this is where you have to organize these a little bit. So we're going to take 4, 5 of these cards that have the bin on them. They say roba, which means to steal. Means you're stealing from the discard pile. So we're going to take 5 of those in the deck. We're going to have 3 of these kick ones where you're kicking candy from another player with the boot. These are called chiclitos, and these are little grenades. So you're stealing some points. So 4 of them are going in the deck. We've got 3 of the no cards to block other players. And then the last 2, it's a share and a pass. And so go by the images. We want one of each of those. Almost there. So there's 2 of these ice lolly ones. They have a little bomb symbol in them. Just 2 of those go on the deck. And then the last are these toys, which are the yellow cards. So we've got 2 normal toys with this symbol. And then we got 2 puzzle toys, and these go together. So they've got the same name. This one's Trompo, Cuerda de Trompo. So they've got the same name in them. So we make sure that's a set that goes together. And then this one, this toy in particular, has a star on it. So the toy with a star, little hand, and it grabs something. It's kind of what it does in the game. All right. And so all of these go into the deck. Just give them a really good shuffle. Make sure they're all really mixed in, however you like to do a shuffle. Then you place them in the middle of the table, ready for players to draw from when it's their turn. Next, you want to give each player 3 of these bag tokens, but you're going to flip them to the upside down face, because these are only activated on the roll of a dice. And what they do is once you've flipped it up, it means you can hold 1 more card in your hand more than you start with. All right, so how does a turn go? Okay, so if you have the piñata stick, it means you get to take a whack of the piñata. And so this stick is represented by these dice. And so these dice have different sides to them. Firstly, they have letters. So if you can roll a dice and spell out the word piñata, well, you win. That is the fastest way to win this game. But you have to be really lucky to do that. Most of the time, you're just going to roll some of these letters. And for every letter you roll, you draw out a card. So say that I rolled this, I'm going to draw out 5 cards onto the floor. Simulate me whacking the piñata and the candy falling out onto the floor. All right, but the dice have some other effects, and in stage 1, you're rolling your dice and you're going to resolve these. So what else could happen? Well, you could roll a candy, which just means that you're going to take one of these, which is worth 1 point at the end of the game. You could upgrade your bags so you can hold more cards in your hand. That just means you would flip one of these tokens to the other side. So you can hold 1 more card in your hand. Next, we have the wild symbol. So this is going to copy the effect of a different dice. So you could get out another letter, which means you get another card, another bag space, another point candy, anything like that. At the moment, the cards are face down. But if we can roll the eyes, it means we can flip the cards face up so we can see what candies we can grab. Lastly, we have the candy bite symbol. So that means any cards in your hand that are worth lots of points, well, you can eat it, which means it's safe for the end of the game. And if you see an X, well, nothing happens. That just does nothing. So, stage 1, you roll a dice, you resolve the dice. Stage 2, now if you have cards in your hand that you can play, these would be action cards. Let's have a look at one of those. So there are 2 types of action cards that you might have. One has the star, which means it can only be played at this point on your turn after you've rolled the dice. That's part 2 of the turn. This one with a lightning bolt, that means it can be played at any time. But you can play as many of these action cards as you'd like on your turn after you've rolled the dice, but before you draw any cards from the floor. All right, on your first turn, you're going to have no cards in your hand. So you're just going to take all of the cards that have fallen, and that will be your hand for the next turn. So say that this is your second turn, and you have some cards in your hand. So I've got all of these really bad cards here, but my hand size is 5 at the moment. I've got 5. I can hold up to 7 to begin with, and so I'll have space for 2. So this is important because if I have space to draw cards and there are cards on the floor for me to take, well, I'm going to have to draw them. That's all that happens. But I've got space for 2, so I can choose which two. If there are no eyes revealed, well, I have to choose blindfolded. But if I've rolled an eyes, I can flip them all up and choose which candies I'd like to take. Now this deck needs shuffled, but I would take the good cards, not the bad cards, if I had a choice. So let's say I do that. Now it's turn 4, or turn 3 for me. So this is my hand. I've got the 7 cards, and more cards have fallen onto the table, onto the floor. Well, I can't pick them up, but what I can do is I can choose to discard any number of these cards and pick up the same number of cards from the floor. So perhaps I choose to discard these 3, it's the discard pile, and then I can draw these 3 up to my hand. Oh, that's so much better. I got some tasty candy this time, not some disgusting moldy fruit or broken candies. So that's stage 3. Either you're just drawing the cards which are there, or you can discard and then draw. That's what happens in stage 3. But you can only discard if you have all your hand space filled, so 7 out of 7 cards in your hand. If you have 6, well, all you can do is draw 1. You can't discard at that point. Stage 4, the last one, if there are any candies left on the table that I haven't taken because I had no room to take them, well, they get turned face up so everyone on the table can see what they are. This is the other kids around the piñata seeing your candy that's dropped on the floor. You can't pick it up, and so they have an opportunity to grab it. So one by one, each person can take 1 card, going around in turn order until there are no cards left, or maybe it's just junk in the middle and no one wants it, and so then everyone passes and they go into the discard pile. So gameplay will more or less continue like that until you're out of cards, this main deck. So this is why it determines how big this deck is, how many players are. That's for a length of game, about half an hour to 40 minutes, and you're going to be able to enjoy this game. So how does the game end? Well, once all of these cards have been gone through and they're all in that discard pile or in people's hands, that symbolizes the game is at an end. The player finishes their last turn, and then it's time to count up the scores and look at what cards are left in your hand at the end and counting up the numbers of what you have. There are 4 different types of cards. We have these light blue colored cards. Yeah, so these are our candy cards. They're good. You want candy from the piñata. We have these yellow cards. These are toys. These are also good. These are nice to getting you points. The difference between these two is you can eat the candy, you can't eat the toys. There are these dark blue cards, and these are cards that are bad. They're not tasty, you don't want to eat them. They give you -2 points. This is saying the broken candies, so not so nice. And lastly, we have these purple cards. These are action cards, and so not going to score you points at the end of the game, but they are used throughout the game to get you some more points from the other players. So let's go through some of the specific cards. So if we look at the candy cards, we've got the cards which are just worth points. These puzzle cards, where they're worth points on their own, but they're worth more points if you have both of them together. We've got the spicy candies, which are good, and you want 2, but not 3, because then it's worth minus points. You've got the candy bomb, so you have to eat it at the end, before the end of the game, for it to score you any points. And then we have just one of these. It's an action candy card. So it means you can play it in part 2 of your turn after you've rolled the dice, before you've drawn any cards. You can gift this card to another player, so they have it and they can use it in future turns if they want to. And in the moment that you gift it, you get to discard your entire hand and draw a new one. So it's really good if you have a bunch of terrible cards. It is worth 4 points if you have it at the end of the game, but if you use it, you're not going to get those points. There are these set collection cards here. So these are worth points on their own individually, but also if you get 3 of the same color, you get 5 bonus points. If you get 1 of each of the 4 colors, you get 10 bonus points. And so I have 2 purples and an orange here. That's not going to get me very much. If I had perhaps a green one, here's a red one. There you go, it's a nice set. Get me 10 bonus points. Right, let's look at some of the toys. So we have this standard toy. So it's just worth 4 points. It's a good thing to hold on to. We have a toy which is an action card. So this is the only one again in the game. So if you hold on to it at the end, it's worth 4 points. But if you use it, well, this time you're stealing 1 card from another player, and then you're discarding this card, so you won't have it anymore. The other types of toys are what we saw earlier with the puzzles. So you want to have both of these. They're worth -4 points if you only have one. If you have them both together, they're each worth 10 points. So very valuable. But for a 4-player game, there's only 1 set of these, and so they're quite hard to get both of. Here's your toys. Now, all of the bad candies, ones that are worth minus points and they're dark blue colored, well, they're all just worth minus points. There's nothing different about those. All do the same thing and worth minus points. And lastly are these action cards. So this action card, if you play it on your turn, you can take 1 card from that discard pile that was in the center of the table. So any cards that have been discarded, you can look through them and take the one that you want. Maybe you think you can make use of it. The other action cards we have, this one here, it's a little grenade, it's called Chiclito. So you play it on your turn, you can take one of these single point candies from the center, and then you are removing one of these from another player. So in a way, you're stealing these point tokens from another player. But if you have this card, it's an instant action card, so you can play it anytime, and this card will block the action of any other action card that any person around the table has played. So it's really good for defending yourself or stopping the plans of another player. So once you've used it, it gets discarded. On your turn, you can play this to make everyone pass 1 card to the right at the same time. So you're giving away a card and you're getting a new card, but each person chooses which card they pass around. This one, you're going to totally change hands and bags with another player. So if you have a whole load of bad cards, well, you select another player and you're going to have to swap hands and bags with them. Bit of a trade. This card is a very mean card. So you're going to select a player and then they're going to have to choose 2 cards, or rather you will choose 2 cards of theirs to discard. So they're going to hold their hand up like this and they're going to choose 2 cards and then you're going to have to get rid of them. So it's a bit of a mean card. You're kicking the candy out of their hand. With this last card, you are selecting a player and then you are giving them a card from your hand. Probably a card that you don't want. If they have a full hand already, well, they have to discard a card to be able to receive your card. Final card we didn't look at is in the toys. It's yellow. It has a bomb on it. And this is a very strange card because you'll hold on to this at the end of the game. And what you're going to do is you're going to throw this at another player. If it hits them, well, it means they take the card and they take the -5 points. It's a stink bomb. Add the points from cards up with the points you're getting from these types of candy too, and you have your final score. Everyone adds it up. Whoever has the most points is the winner. All right, so there you have it. This is Piñatazo. That's how you play.